Hey humans, Batsy here with a little challenge. I have been wanting to do this short series for a while now. I seen some humans do one chunk challenges in vanilla, and I thought it would be funny to do it with Create, and see how many farms we able to fit within a single chunk, and what kind of base we end up with. For that we need a couple rules. Obviously build within the 16 by 16 of a chunk. We're going to build in creative because I thought about it, and we're not going to get enough copper and zinc to do a whole lot if we plan on filling an entire chunk. Also the farms and the base in general needs to be of a decent size. Making a tiny cobble generator, or farms that produce one iron ingot every month, it's no use. So in short, one single chunk, functional, and good enough rates to make it viable. With that idea, and those rules in mind, let's fly to the 00 chords, and see where are we going to start. Okay, so this is 00 and looks like we ended up in the middle of the sea, which I think is good. We can build some sort of oil platform, or something like that. I think I'm going to use this chunk over here. Now, I thought about using the world border command, but I think it's going to make it impossible to use the replay mod, and record what am I doing from outside the border, so instead I think I'm just gonna build the perimeter really quick, and try stick within it, and just check the chunk border often. It shouldn't be any hard. Okay humans, I got this perimeter using the catwalks from Create Deco. I'm going to simply fill it up with some blocks, and figure out later what we want to build up here. For now let's get into more interesting stuff. My first idea was, obviously we want a kelp farm. That way we can produce those conveyor belts, and we have fuel in case we need it. Also we probably should start with a power plant, so we get that out of the way, and also we need the section that dries our kelp, and makes it into blocks and possibly into belts too. Let's start with the kelp farm since that will be in the ocean anyway. For this, the easiest way to go about it is with mine carts. The way it works is as follows: if a harvester breaks kelp, it's going to harvest only the block that is touching the harvester, everything else above that block will break but it will go up and float around. With that in mind we want to make the farm 2 blocks tall only, so we don't waste any kelp and leave items floating. Just in case that's not enough, I'm going to stack 3 farms on top of each other, and use the same minecart to harvest all of them. Thankfully for us, the minecart works perfectly fine underwater, so normal powered rails will do. Also we need to cover it in glass in case a fish comes around, it might block the minecart and make it stop. Next we need to make the shape for the chassis, and place all of the harvesters in their positions. We don't need to, but to not waste 2 blocks, we're going to place harvesters in both sides, since once it reaches the limit of the chunk, those 2 blocks won't be harvested. Of course we also want to put down some barrels, and the item interface to take everything out of it. We're going to move it down later on at some point. Now we decorate it a little bit so it looks fancy, and we're pretty much done here. I think it ended up looking rather nice, and this should produce a good amount of kelp. Next we're going to jump straight into the steam engine. I'm not sure how much power we're going to need, but I'm gonna fill up one side of the chunk, and hope that's enough for the time being. As usual we want them to be 4 blocks tall for the tier 9 engines, with all the shafts on top, and the necessary burners below. Next we place the belts that will move the lava around, and a small vault in this corner to move the filled lava buckets back into the top belt. With all that in place we can start setting up all the mechanical arms as usual. I like to put one for every 9 burners, with the top belt to pick up the items, and this chute below to drop the empty buckets. Before we go further we're going to need something to power up the pumps until the steam engine is running. For that we will make use of some water wheels, with the soul sand in a corner, some glass so the water doesn't go everywhere, and of course the water to make them spin. Now that we have some power, let's place down a pipe for each tank, and a pump above each of the pipes, with some cogs between them to transfer the rotation between pumps. To not waste this corner, let's also build here the lava that will fuel the engines. For that we need a layer of cauldrons, another one of dripstone, with the pointy dripstone below, And of course the layer of lava on top. Now we place all pipes below all the cauldrons, and some pumps every 12 cauldrons to take out all this lava. I decided to make use of a tank to move upwards the lava, and also use it as a buffer for the cauldrons. Then I connected everything else, and placed down enough pumps to get the lava flowing, probably way too many pumps for this little circuit. To finish off this section I just need to connect gearboxes and cogwheels between all these pumps, and we have a stable source of lava for the power plant. I decided to place down the water to start testing out the engine, since some tweaking around and connecting things up will be necessary. I spent some time placing down chain drives, gearboxes, and fiddling around the pipes and pumps so they all facing the right direction. Since everything seemed to be working properly I thought it was time to place down a speed controller, and power up the steam engine to tier 9, since all it's missing now is more water input. As you can see it took me a long time to figure out how I wanted to connect it up. Because the water wheels aren't enough on their own, we need the idle power from the steam engine to help us out. With that in mind means we need to have the steam engine connected before the speed controller. It took a really long time of changing things around till I ended up with something I was happy with, and since I was also planning for future upgrades and expansions of the base, so I wanted to leave it in the best conditions. I wanted to take this moment to thank everyone who has been supporting me lately. The growth of the channel has been insane. Every time I wake up and see the counter going up and makes me feel like I'm still dreaming. I really appreciate you all so much. You people are the best humans a bat could ever dream of. At this stage, and after a long while tweaking around the lava production, the power supply, and everything in between, I decided I had enough with the steam engine, and started decorating things a little bit. Of course there wouldn't be a base without an entrance, so I figured out how to make an elevator, making use of a gantry shaft and some redstone links. And with that, the first stage of the base is pretty much done. I'm really happy how things turned out so far. But let me show you what I've done. I added the railings on this platform, but I still haven't done anything with it. Maybe we'll do so in a future episode. Down here of course we have the Kelp Farm we made at the beginning. I might add a way to stop it with a redstone link, but for now it's really working wonderfully, and I think it looks pretty good for what it is. Then we have the elevator. It took me a while to figure out how the redstone wireless controller worked. I have never used this before, but making use of a couple latch toggles and some redstone links we got a functioning elevator. I just need to make sure I connect it to a speed controller later on, so we don't break a leg going up and down this thing. I really love how it looks, and I already have some idea to improve it. To the right we got the water wheels. I have added few blocks here, and there, to decorate it all, but since we want the glass to be able to see the inside, there isn't much we can do with it. I also realized, the chute with the kelp goes down the same block we had the shaft before, so to not make it ugly with chutes, I connected it around, and I think it looks kind of funny with the metal girders and all. The speed controller ended up a bit encased here, but everything is connected how I wanted it to be, and we still have room to expand our power downwards for later, and as you can see I added this metal girders, and decorations wherever I could, makes it look a bit more tied up. I moved the power downwards in this corner, since the other side ended up a bit crammed with the vault and everything, which I think it still looks alright, and covered all those cogwheels with some casings. If we move this thing up really quick, I really love this elevator. But down here you can see how I connected up the lowest belt, and also the pump that fuels the spout. It worked out well since I had to power all those pipes too anyway. And as you can see, I had to move some of them out of the way, since I didn't have much room for the elevator otherwise. But everything is working well now. I'm probably going to change this system. Because without the vaults, and the andesite funnel before the spout, it seems to mess up the cycle sometimes, so I will have to figure that out. But yeah, this is our one chunk base so far. I really hope you enjoyed this new series. I will try to make one new episode every week. Make sure to leave me in the comments below what farm you think I should do next. I think processing that kelp, and potentially starting with some cobble, but I would love to hear what the humans think. Don't forget to leave a like, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new content, and thank you so much for the 500 subs, I'm so happy about it. Take care everyone, and until the next time.